After the first weekend of the MLB regular season, the American League East looks like it is going to be one of the most difficult and competitive divisions in this sport. The New York Yankees currently sit atop the division with a 3-0 record. The Tampa Bay Rays are 2-1 and they find themselves in second, while the Orioles and Blue Jays are both tied at a 2-2 record. The Boston Red Sox find themselves in the basement of the division with a 1-3 record. Well, we'll start with the New York Yankees, who had a very interesting weekend to say the very least. It was a perfect weekend, and they really did well offensively. They scored 15 home runs over the course of the three games, absolutely battering and brutalizing the Milwaukee Brewers. What was a vaunted pitching staff, I believe, but of course they didn't have anything coming for them this weekend. The Yankees hit 2 home runs in their season opener. They hit 9 in the middle game of the series. And then today, as if that wasn't enough, right? As if hitting 2 home runs and then 9 the previous day, that wasn't enough. Well, the Yankees once again hit 6 more home runs this afternoon, making it they hit four, and that makes it a total of 2 plus 9 plus 4. That's 15 home runs for the Bronx Bombers, who in 3 games are really on a record pace. Aaron Judge to this point has 4, and he looks like he is going to have a great season. He typically starts out slow, but that doesn't seem to be the case this year. And all down the lineup, the Yankees are really experiencing a lot of success. Cody Bellinger and his swing looks like it is perfect for Yankee Stadium. Paul Goldschmidt had a couple this weekend. He's showing that maybe he's knocking off the rust at the ripe old age of 37, and there's a lot to like from a lineup perspective with the New York Yankees right now. All the concern about Juan Soto being an important factor for the team is definitely being put to rest a little bit after you go out and have this kind of a series. Granted, it's just the first series of the season, but still a mighty impressive showing from the New York Yankee bats. On the pitching staff side of things, the bullpen was really good this weekend, and the starters were also fairly good. Marcus Stroman gave them 4 innings today, or just a little bit shy, but he was good. 3 innings, 4 innings. I think that's what you can kind of give him at this point. Max Fried got hit a little bit hard yesterday, but again, it's just the first start of an 8-year contract. There's still a lot of expectation and hope for him. And then Carlos Rodon was pretty solid in the opener. So overall, it was a very good weekend for the Yankees. A lot to be excited about, and scary for the rest of the division to have to contemplate this club going forward. The Tampa Bay Rays, of course, began their season in a minor league ballpark, but it was definitely very good for the Tampa Bay Rays as they took 2 out of 3 games from the Colorado Rockies. They got strong pitching in each of the games, and they came through with a walk-off home run in game number 1. Cameron Meisner, he walked it off for the Tampa Bay Rays. And then in game 2, there was a lot to like from the Tampa offense. They scored only 1 run, but they definitely hit a lot of balls hard. There was just a question of why wasn't the ball falling the right way for them. A little bit of frustration, no doubt about it. And then in the game 3, the game today, the Rays once again capitalized off the Colorado Rocky bullpen. Taj Bradley pitched really well in this game. The Rays took advantage of their scoring opportunities, and most importantly, they took the series 2 out of 3 from the Colorado Rockies. They will now welcome the Pittsburgh Pirates down to George M. Steinbrenner Field in Tampa Bay, Florida. The Toronto Blue Jays had a mixed weekend, as evidenced by their 2-2 record. Max Scherzer will be going on the injured list after he was only able to pitch 3 innings in the game on Saturday, a game that Toronto would lose. Toronto lost the opener. Jose Barrios had a rough start. The offense didn't do much against Zach Eflin. However, in the middle game, the Blue Jays pounded out 14 hits and really put together a very potent offensive attack. And they got some very good pitching from Kevin Gausman in Game 2 of the series. Game 4 today, they also got a couple of clutch hits. Tyler Heineman hit a home run. The Blue Jays also got 2 home runs this weekend from Andres Gimenez, who is typically a very light-hitting offensive second baseman. But it was Gimenez who provided some fireworks this weekend for the Toronto Blue Jays, who are getting very strong starts, it looks like, from Bo Bichette, Vladimir Guerrero, and others, which is important for the Toronto Blue Jays as run scoring is such a big factor for them this season. The Orioles, offensively, they don't really have a lot to be ashamed about because even in the game they lost today, they had a lot of hits, they just couldn't get the big hit, which will happen. Again, it's only game 4 for them. They have a very deep, balanced, and powerful offensive lineup. I don't think they have to worry about that. Sugano, of course, didn't really give them a lot of length today. Um, he just isn't giving them a lot of length. Charlie Morton in the Friday night game, similarly, was working through a lot of long counts. The Blue Jay batters seemed to be on a lot of his pitches. And so between Morton and Sugano, the Orioles' rotation is definitely hitting a soft patch there. But Eflin and Kramer were very good for the team in the games that they won on Thursday and Saturday. So overall, it was a good series. Toronto has to be concerned about Max Scherzer in the IL. He's not going to be on the IL for that long, but the question is, does this thumb injury, which is now turning into a lat problem, how does that continue to disrupt his season going forward? The Blue Jays bullpen has looked pretty good, and like I say, there were some good things from Vladimir Guerrero and Bo Bichette on an offensive point. And then the Red Sox had a very interesting weekend, of course. They did lose 3 out of 4 to the Texas Rangers, who are a very strong and up-and-coming team. From a pitching point of view, Tanner Houck struggled a little bit. Garrett Crochet was just as advertised, and the Red Sox took advantage of the Texas bullpen in game number 1 on a Willy Abreu 3-run homer. That was in the 9th inning. And they played a lot of close and tight games with the Texas Rangers. However, they just couldn't get that big hit. They were something like 1 for 23 with runners in scoring position over the last 2 games. And a lot of that is certainly going to focus the attention on Rafael Devers, who, again, as of this writing, is 0 for 16 with 12 strikeouts. It's been a very slow start to the season for Devers, even if he drew a walk in the 9th inning of today's ball game to at least give the Red Sox a chance. But Bregman is beginning to hit. I think he had a hit in each of the last 3 games, and Jarren Duran is getting his hits. So you're seeing signs of growth from the Boston offense. Christian Campbell got a home run this weekend. He got on the board with a couple other hits. There's things to like about that, but the Rafael Devers thing is very frustrating because he only played in 5 spring training games anyway, and there is still a lot of practice and a lot of work that it looks like he still needs to be done. So it was a very interesting weekend in the American League East. A lot of action, of course, very tight, very competitive division, which we'll continue to follow here. And until we do, after the next series of games, this has been another edition of American League East Recap.